This is Queer News Tonight. In the headlines, Visit Lauderdale is taking over another travel destination. Guess which LGBTQ plus icon city will be Fort Lauderdale of the North, while we are everyone under the sun.
Moms for Liberty co-founder getting the kind of popularity she deserves, thanks to her hypocrisy and lack of professional skills. And a famous queer student does the schooling at the school board meeting.
Our HOTspots magazine Christmas edition comes out Thursday. We're giving you a sneak peek of the cover and telling you everything you need to know to make your Christmas and New Year's Eve the wonderful holidays.
We know Pope Francis is a true ally because opponents are calling the Pope a heretic and say the church is crumbling.
Queer favorite Material Girl star Madonna is making the headlines for Celebration Tour and showing affection for the queer community, including openly gay talk show host Andy Cohen.
Hello and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It is Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
I'm out South Florida senior reporter John Hayden. This evening we bring you the news and perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and Earth.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ news, you will see it and hear it.
HOTspots magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbians, and queer women, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS, healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, HOTspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 39 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
Well, let's begin by welcoming tonight's panel. Up first, Jamaal L. Starks, or Porcelain, as he's known to his friends, family, and amazing community. He works with Impulse Group Chapter Miami, part of a global organization helping connect gay and queer men. He is also a spiritualist and model. Welcome, Jamaal.
Thank you, John.
So glad you're here. Up next, I guess we're glad he's here too, Dr. Tai Houser. He is a professor of English and Humanities at Broward College and teaches in the College of Business at FAU. He has served as a visiting professor at colleges in Bolivia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain. Tai owns Linden Bridge LLC, an educational experience company. Good evening, Tai.
Good evening, John. I would love to say it's nice to be here at the table with you.
But will you say it? Up next, let's welcome Hunter Ohanian. He has been working in the arts and LGBTQ plus fields for more than 30 years. He's led the only LGBTQ art museum and also one of the largest LGBTQ archives. He is an expert in gay history, culture, and politics. Welcome back, Hunter.
Thank you, John. Nice to be here.
It's great to have you. I love your ink.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if they can see it on camera, but he's got amazing ink. There we go. And finally, let's welcome Jeff Oliverio, community friend and my personal nemesis. He is a financial advisor and certified financial planner with Truist Wealth in Fort Lauderdale. Jeff is one of the founders and current treasurer of the LGBTQ plus Hollywood Council and the upcoming My Hollywood Pride in January. He has served as the co-chair for the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala since 2021. Welcome back, Jeff.
Happy to be here. Happy to, hopefully everyone will check out. We're about a month out from Hollywood Pride, so there's a lot of events being announced. We announced our networking event, which will be on a Friday night. Our Pride 100 brunch tickets are going on sale to celebrate our 100 score on the Human Rights Campaign Municipal Equality Index for the third year in a row. So we're very happy about that, and lots of fun stuff in downtown Hollywood. So go to myhollywoodpride.com and check out all the exciting events coming.
And you have a leak in your organization because somebody may have sent me some press releases about some of the entertainment that I'm sworn to keep secret until I'm told to. But it's looking like it's going to be a fun lineup.
Yes. We're sharing entertainers online. So we have a really eclectic mix of entertainment. Francesca D'Amore is our entertainment director, and I think she's really stepped it up a notch with the entertainment for this year. So we're really looking forward to, again, a diverse mix of entertainment to bring to downtown Hollywood.
Awesome. Well, we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community around the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Tuesday, December 19th.
Next, let's queer up education. Queer student activist destroys Throuple-loving Moms for Liberty leader at school board meeting. Moms for Liberty co-founder Bridget Ziegler refused to resign her seat on the Sarasota School Board. But if she's going to say, one queer activist is going to take her to task. The rest of her board voted for her to leave amid scandals of a three-way involving her husband and another woman that led to sex assault allegations. During the same meeting, former student and director of Social Equity Through Education Alliance, Xander Morris, called out her hypocrisy. A significant moment in his school board speech was highlighting the public's seeming obsession with Ziegler's queer relationships more than the years of anti-LGBTQ plus campaigning she has done with Moms for Liberty. Moritz was Pineview School's first out gay class president and the youngest plaintiff in a lawsuit filed by various LGBTQ plus rights groups against the Don't Say Gay law.
Bridget, our first ever interaction was when you retweeted a hate article about me from The Nationalist while I was a Sarasota County school student. You are a reminder that some people view politics as a service to others, while some view it as an opportunity for themselves. On this board, you have spent public funds that could have been used to increase teacher pay, to change our district lines for political gain, remove books from schools, target trans and queer children, erase Black history, and elevate your political career, all while sending your children to private schools because you do not believe in the public school system that you've been leading. My question is, why doesn't an elected official using our money to harm our students and our teachers for her gain seem to matter as much to us as her having a threesome does? Bridget Ziegler, you do not deserve to be on the Sarasota County School Board, but you do not deserve to be removed from it for having a threesome. That defeats the lesson we've been trying to teach you, which is that a politician's job is to serve their community, not to police personal lives. So, to be extra clear, Bridget, you deserve to be fired from your job because you are terrible at your job, not because you had sex with a woman.
Oh, that is excellent. Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Snap, clap all day long. Bridget, out. So eloquently said. And right on point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people who grow up in the state who we assume in many cases are facing opposition, and we know things can be tough for them, can be this smart and this articulate and this clear, absolutely clear about what it was that he wanted them to hear and understand, and what he wanted us as citizens of Florida to understand. He should be in Congress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this started with, I think, the valedictorian speech that he gave from last year, which was, again, watch it on YouTube because it's fantastic. It's one of the best speeches you'll probably ever hear. But I love, again, the message is, we don't care what you do in your bedroom, just do your job correctly. And that was exactly what he said. You shouldn't care what we do in our bedroom, and we don't care what you do in your bedroom. But as he said, she's terrible at her job.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that the board votes to ask her to leave, right? Mm-hmm. They kind of ask her to leave. Her kids don't go to the school district. I think that should be a prerequisite for being on a school board. Your kid should have to go to school in the district, not a private school. What kind of pride is this woman carrying that she just won't step aside and go away.
Money. It's all about her political gain, like he said. You're terrible at your job, but also it's sort of like if anyone has watched Fellow Travelers, the McCarthy era, where you have people masking. They actually are queer, but instead they attack because this is what mainstream wants. Here we go with someone doing the same thing for their political gain, right? And he read her clearly, like mic drop, there is nothing left to be said. But money is the thing, you know?
Yeah, a student calling her out, going viral on X or YouTube, kind of plays into her hand because she doesn't care about Sarasota. She cares nothing about the students of Sarasota.
No.
She wants to, for some reason, go to Tallahassee, which I guess would be a metropolis for her. But that's where she wants to go. And if Ron DeSantis ends up going to Washington, she's going to be right on those coattails as well.
Absolutely. Jamaal, I'm really happy you mentioned the Fellow Traveler and the McCarthyism time, because this just shows again that 2 generations later, we're just seeing history repeat itself. And you don't really have to look back that far. You could look back to the 50s or even the 80s with Jesse Helms and trying to cut down, Mapplethorpe or other artists at the time. And we're just going through the same phase. It's just unfortunate we have to keep doing it.
And one clarification, the board voted for her to ask her to leave. They cannot remove her. The board cannot remove one of its members. So that is why they voted. Basically, it was a vote to say, please leave, but it is in no way binding. And
But can the governor remove her?
The governor can remove her.
But he never would.
He never would, because he has removed other city council members.
Yeah, but they didn't like him.
Right.
She is an apostle from day one. He could, but they can't. So that's why when we say it was a vote to remove her, but she's still there. That is why the governor could remove her, but
and I think she's the only income in the household now.
The only what? I'm sorry?
The only income in the household now, because didn't her husband get removed from his job or getting a $1 a year salary while he's under suspension from the Republican Party of Florida?
Yeah, right. Immediately a $1 a year salary.
So,
immediately.
So she's what we would call the breadwinner. So better get that bread.
Oh, enjoy that bread.
Yes.
Well, next, let's queer up South Florida. HOTspots magazine Christmas and New Year's edition on stands this week. It's the holiday season and we are all stirring. Learn about it in our new HOTspots magazine on stands Thursday. The special Christmas and New Year's edition is about one of our favorite times of the year. We're showing you a sneak peek of the hotties that are going to usher in the New Year's Eve. The magazine has many exclusive features, including the Cher Show. This Broadly Like musical comes to the Arts Center January 2nd through the 7th and is the perfect way to turn back time with 38 of the best classics from the LGBTQ+ icon. Another feature is LGBTQ+ books you'll want to add to your shelf. After a rocking Christmas Eve, you will want to take some time to curl up with a good queer book and a hot chocolate. If you are a music fan, HOTspots will preview all of the cool music that comes out this winter. There are special features on comedy legends Varla Jean Merman and Miss Richfield that both have shows this winter as part of Sunshine Cathedral Center for Performing Arts. Where are we going? Where are we partying? And most importantly of all, where is the best place to be seen for the holidays? Scott Holland's top 10 holiday events will be the must-read to make those choices for Christmas and New Year's. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's from everyone at HOTspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight. Well, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, right?
Right.
I'm happy to see what comes out.
This Cher thing, I don't know that I could name 30 Cher songs.
I'm pretty sure I could.
I mean, probably if I heard them, I would recognize them, but I don't think I could just come up with them.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
And how long is that show going to be?
But remember, you have to count the Mamma Mia set too, because she's added that into the repertoire. So
She has
Mamma
a
Mia
disco album where she does a lot of disco songs that she's covered. So yeah.
And I mean, her social security number is 1, so she's been around long enough to get those songs out.
Did anybody? Okay, I'm sorry to tear attention away from her shows here, but did anybody see her on Thanksgiving at at Macy's?
Oh yes,
yes,
Yeah, she debuted her disco Christmas song, and I was 100% here for it. But yeah, it's going to be a really fun next couple of weeks. I'm excited to get my hands on.
And I saw just a couple of weeks ago, I saw Varla Jean here at Sunshine Cathedral performing for the Winterfest, or what was it called? Holiday Spectacular. She was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. I loved every second of her.
Yeah, and
she's a wonderful performer. Yeah.
Yeah, the great thing is about Varla is if you keep your eye out, you'll see her around Wilton Manors. Yeah. But you have to be able to recognize her out of.
I was first introduced to him, and when I saw her on stage, I was like, no.
I know. And one thing to add to this, I did an interview today with Ann Steele. She is a great famous, legendary cabaret singer up in New York City and elsewhere, and she's going to be here in late February performing at the Sunshine Cathedral, and she's great. And it turns out we grew up about 30 miles from each other, and we both went to the same college at the same time. And we lived she was at 705 Riverside and I was at 904 Riverside. I mean, it was and we were like, oh my God, you know. So that's going to be a fun interview. So keep an eye out.
Essentially, everything we need to know about the new year is in HOTspots.
Yes, or by classmates from Ball State. Okay. One or the other. Yes, absolutely.
Next, let's queer up religion. Pope Francis's historic approval of blessing to same-sex couples, but it's not marriage. And a major development for Catholic LGBTQ plus couples, Pope Francis has approved the blessing of same-sex unions. The new rule was included in a declaration issued Monday by the Vatican's Office of the Doctrine of the Faith and signed by Pope Francis. For the first time, it allows priests to bless same-sex couples. However, the declaration does not change the traditional doctrine of the Church about marriage. According to Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, prefect of the Office of the Doctrine of Faith, there is no liturgical rite that could be confused with the marriage sacrament. The Church still maintains that marriage can only be between a man and a woman. The document says the blessing should not be fixed ritually by ecclesiastical authorities to avoid any confusion with marriage. Fernandez says the decision to grant same-sex unions is a blessing, is based on the pastoral vision of Pope Francis, and describes the change as a real development. The Reverend James Martin, a prominent American advocate for LGBTQ plus Catholics, hails the decision as a marked shift. Since becoming Pope, Francis has endeavored to make Catholicism more welcoming to LGBTQ plus people, despite church doctrine that still describes homosexuality as a sin. All I can say is too little, too late. And I only approach this personally as somebody who was raised Catholic, and certainly am not a Catholic at any point in this part of my life. But for those who have faith out there, who are believers in Christianity and Catholicism and other institutional religions, if it brings them solace and peace, great. But as far as organizations go, they have discriminated against women, against minorities, against gay people for little over 2 centuries. And at the same time, they have used their tendencies and their points of view there to cover up major crimes and sins within the institution itself. So again, I don't fault anyone who has any solace that they get out of the church, but this is just water off a duck's back for one particular man at one particular time. And it's unfortunate because I think it will it will give people the appearance, it will give the appearance that the church is more accepting than it actually is. And I just simply don't see that.
I tend to agree with you, but I also like the idea that the church is able to move with this current pope. But I see the problem coming from a different angle, which is the evangelical community in the United States already believes that Catholics aren't Christians. And this is just going to be another way for them to say, look, here's another group that we can say isn't really a Christian group, isn't really part of who our values are or what we want, and is going to more solidly align them against the rest of us, the rest of the country. And so I can see issues arising from that. That zealotry. Yeah.
That's an angle that I hadn't thought of. Yeah. Jamaal?
Well, I see it from a perspective of this makes me wonder, people who for years have followed this doctrine, now seeing it change so rapidly with the way society is changing, parents who have put their gay or queer child out of the house, grandparents and such or families who have sat with not accepting the marriage of their queer or gay child or trans child. Now all of a sudden you have this rapid switch, this change in tone. What are they saying to themselves now about their relationship and where they are in their relationship with these gay individuals that they have outcasted for so long? And now, whether or not they're moving with the social change or whether they're under pressure to move, what is this saying to those people? What are these people saying to themselves right now? Like that especially moving into the Christmas season, like they hit it right at the holiday season. So maybe it'll quiet for the short term. Maybe it'll quiet the crazy uncle at dinner next week. It may quiet the crazy uncle,
I'm grasping here, person. I'm grasping here.
But for the gay person now entering into this situation, it's like, now what did y'all have to say all those years? It begs the question, like, what is going to happen?
I would like to hear what the little old Catholic grandmother thinks. The little old Irish or Italian Catholic grandmother. What's her take on this?
The ones that said the Pope is never wrong, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is to me like a, bless your heart type motion, because it's like, well, you can't really get married, but we bless you anyways. And it's just, again, it's another statement to say you're less than. You're not equal to everyone else. You don't deserve to have the same love and relationship as everyone else in the church. It's like, it's almost, yes, it's a step forward, but it's so backhanded. It's so backhanded. Okay. Yeah. And so I don't see it as...
It's the Southern bless.
Exactly. And it's saying we welcome, we want to bless everyone, probably because we want you to stay members of the church and we want you to still give money to us. Sure. But please don't come here and get married, because no, that's not good enough.
And their philosophy has not changed. The philosophy of hate the sin but love the sinner is still the philosophy. So that they're the ones. It was great seeing the ick shirt in the last piece, because they're the ones who get sexual about this whole thing. They actually look at gay people and they think about sex acts as opposed to simply thinking about two people being together, which is interesting. One last thought is just that it's very interesting that this came out now, because 2 weeks ago, the Pope actually ousted the most conservative either archbishop or cardinal.
Well, there's a cardinal.
Cardinal from his apartment in Rome. And so he was actually put out. It must have been in the planning and everything for this to happen.
It is possible that it was tied to this, because you don't lose that perch for just anything. But I'm going to take a moment here to play devil's advocate. I've been waiting all day to say that. I know. I'm going to take a moment to play devil's advocate. I too was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic high school, and I see this as actually too little too late. I mean, perhaps I'm not coming back to the church that ship has sailed for me. But in a 2 millennia old organization, this is incredibly rapid change. He's been Pope for 10 years and has done more to acknowledge our existence in a positive way. You say hate the sin but love the sinner. But he's also said quit judging. He said, who am I to judge? Which is basically telling all the rest of us, if I'm not going to judge, you're not going to judge. So I would say he's probably the most, especially considering he followed Ratzenberger, who was incredibly conservative. He's, in my opinion, a refreshing breath of fresh air. He reminds me of Madonna. My gosh. Guess what we're talking about next, guys? He reminds me of President Obama, who in 2008 was for civil unions, but not for marriage. And by the 2012 election. So I just feel that if Pope Francis was a vampire, we'd probably have this within the next 20 years or so. So here's hoping. But I do want to read a comment from a group called Catholic Allies from my hometown, Indianapolis, and they're a group of heterosexual people, Catholics, that support their LGBTQ plus, including the T plus brothers and sisters. And Danielle Weiss said yesterday, it is a huge shift, and says, quote, it goes into redefining blessings as something that should be accessible to all people and reminds us that we're all sinners and yet still worthy of receiving blessings. So I take Danielle's point to heart, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. Is it where we want to be? Are we at the top of the mountain? No. Are we at base camp? Maybe.
I mean, I'm not Catholic, so.
Well, next, let's queer up entertainment. Madonna calls Andy Cohen Little Troublemaker Queen from the concert stage. Madonna threw shade at Andy Cohen, teasing him from the stage during a performance of her Celebration concert in New York City. The Queen of Pop called out Cohen, who was sitting front row at the show at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. She teased him, saying if Cohen says one more bad thing about her on his show, he is going to get in trouble. She underscored her point by sloshing what looked like a beer bottle at Cohen, saying, "You little troublemaker queen." Cohen mouthed, "I love you," and pointed and applauded as she continued the show. Cohen was quick to take to X for a celebration of his own, posting that he is a Madonna fan for life, and he is thrilled to be called a troublemaking queen by the queen of troublemaking herself. Cohen included footage of the concert moment as well as a montage of clips from his Watch What Happens Live show.
I said, how fucking lucky am I, Andy? If you say one more bad thing about me on your show, you're gonna be in so much trouble. You little troublemaking queen. Yeah, sure. It's that crazy kind of love. I know about it. I'm addicted to it myself.
Well, I'm sure this was Andy's best day ever. Certainly, I'm an Andy Cohen radio listener on XM, so it's certainly been all they can talk about on Andy Cohen radio. It's a huge moment. Again, Madonna coming back to New York City and in the Celebration tour is a great way to kick it off. I like that someone's throwing shade at Andy Cohen because he's usually throwing shade at everybody else. And he is a troublemaker, as we all know if we watch What Happens Live. So,
and I love how much fangirling he was doing right at that moment. He was like, ah!
Yeah. It's kind of like his whole career led up to that moment.
Right?
That's exactly what he's been trying to do. Can I just get her attention? I don't care what she does to me. Just give me her attention.
He totally demanded a raise from Bravo so he could afford the front row tickets to that show. Holy cows. Yeah. Madonna. God, you're so quirky. You're so fiercely an ally. And sometimes they're just like, oh my God, what are you doing? But this is so cool. This is so cool. Even for Andy Cohen, who gets to meet everybody and talk with everybody and do shots with everybody. He was still geeking out to this. So it's pretty impressive. You got called out at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn to be name checked by Madonna. Good on you, man.
There were bigger names there.
I'm sure.
Don't tell that to Andy. Oh. Now, here's a look at what we're working on for this week's Out South Florida. This week in Out South Florida, powered by Queer News Tonight. I'm out South Florida senior reporter John Hayden. In this week's issue, new details on the vicious attack of a trans woman and a lesbian in Wynwood. Also, long-standing event Stonewall Pride is facing an existential crisis. Will the party happen? And the last minute is here. I check out great gifts from LGBTQ plus shops. I'm John Hayden. Those stories and more in Out South Florida, on stands and online, and follow me on Instagram at John Hayden Journalist for breaking news and live updates.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at Happening Out Television Studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Well, we finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Opposite baby boomers, new report says Gen Z prefers queer label over gay or lesbian. A study by Business Insider and YouGov found that 5% of Gen Z between 18 and 26 identified as queer, compared to 1% of Gen X and millennials. More people from the Gen Z category are identifying as bisexual compared to other generations, with 13% of Gen Z calling themselves bisexual, compared to 7% of millennials and 4% of Gen X. Only 1% of baby boomers identified as bisexual, and less than 1% of the boomer generation said they were queer. Several studies have found more young people identify as LGBTQ+ than any other generation, with nearly 7% of young people in the UK identifying as lesbian, gay, or bisexual.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News, let's queer up religion. LGBTQ+ Muslims call for ceasefire in front of Stonewall, NYC. 100 LGBTQ+ Muslims gathered for prayer for Palestine in front of the Stonewall National Monument to demonstrate there is no pride in genocide. The action, endorsed by 7 LGBTQ+ and Palestinian right groups, was a call for a permanent ceasefire from faith communities. Rafa Kidvai, a queer Pakistani parent from Brooklyn and one of the organizers of the queer Muslim Juma, said, "Group gathered to bring attention to this genocide and to demand an end to pinkwashing and using trans queer bodies, stories, and struggles to fuel Islamophobia." Pinkwashing is a form of propaganda used by extremists to divert attention from the atrocities of war.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News, let's queer up politics. Senate aide that shared same-sex video filmed it in the Senate room and is now fired. A congressional staffer recorded a video of himself and another man having sex in a conference room in the Hart Senate office building. The video, obtained by the Daily Caller, shows what appears to be the now ex-staffer engaging in sex acts. A subsequent report from Heavy.com identifies the staffer as Aiden Masay Sharabsky, a legislative aide for U.S. Senator Ben Cardin. He was also involved in another controversy when Jewish Congressman Max Miller accused him of confronting him with the words, "Free Palestine."
1 minute news, let's queer up. Courts. Michigan City loses lawsuit over anti-gay free speech defense and must pay $825,000. A federal judge ordered the city of East Lansing, Michigan to pay $825,000 for violating an apple farmer's right to free speech and freedom of religion because of his opposition to marriage equality. The settlement includes $41,000 in damages to the farmer and more than $783,000 in attorney's fees. Country Mill Farms owner Stephen Tenness sued the city after it excluded him from the farmer's market because he refused to host same-sex wedding ceremonies at his farm. U.S. District Court Judge Paul Maloney ruled in August that East Lansing's actions against Country Mill Farms constituted a violation of the Free Exercise Clause. Alliance Defending Freedom represented Tenness and said he will be able to continue running his farm based upon his religious beliefs.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news, let's queer up health. This week in 1993, Philadelphia premieres. Did it change everything on AIDS? This month marks the 30th anniversary of Philadelphia, Jonathan Demme's groundbreaking legal drama starring Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. The movie centers on a man wrongfully fired because he has AIDS and his attempts to sue his workplace with the help of a homophobic small-town lawyer. Released in the shadow of the AIDS epidemic, Philadelphia follows Andrew Beckett, a hardworking gay lawyer who has been living with AIDS and is fired under the pretense of mishandling the case. The movie does a valiant and surprisingly three-dimensional job of portraying AIDS and those living with it as people worthy of dignity, love, humanity, and compassion. Though the film helped shift the broader public's understanding of AIDS in a way that was groundbreaking and helpful for the time, its cultural impact wasn't as strong as some had hoped. That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of HOTspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
This has been the best 45 minutes of my day. Thank you guys all for coming, and thank you for watching. And I am John Hayden. And on behalf of these reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Jamaal L. Starks, Dr. Tai Houser, Hunter Ohanian, and of course Jeff Oliverio, my good friend, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you an extraordinarily good night.
Good night.